Hey everyone, you want to hear something really cool? Well, this is not going to be it. No.
Here's something close-ish.
Yeah.
Pretty good. We are having our first live show ever. It's in Los Angeles. It'll be on April 25th at the Dynasty Typewriter at 10 p.m.
Yeah. It's going to be a double shot.
A double shot. We are going to be talking about the sordid, macabre history of Hollywood Forever and Paramount Studios.
Yeah. Double trouble.
Ooh, it's going to be so great. So for $15, you can get in, you can have a seat, you can listen to historians, see footage, listen to us, you'll get the whole treatment. But for an extra $35, we will take you on a tour of Hollywood Forever.
A guided personal tour.
Can you imagine it?
Yeah.
So, Angelinos, come on down. If you're not from here, come on down.
Yeah, come on down.
And if you're not from here, especially, buy a ticket. Support us.
The $15 doesn't include a flight or hotel, but you know. But what?
That's it.
But that's it. So
How about that?
Yeah, you got to go to dynastytypewriter.com.
Yeah, dynastytypewriter.com/calendar/ghosttownpod APR25. We have links all over our social media if you get turned around.
Yeah.
We would love to see you there.
We will see you there.
Yeah, that's better. Check into another rock and roll nightmare. I'm Rebecca Lieb.
I'm Jason Horton.
And this is Ghost Town.
I'm very excited about this one. You know how you have episodes that you have had in your mind, but you did not have an episode, didn't exist to put it out on?
Yeah, you're like saving your little hip pocket.
Yeah.
You're saving those little nuggets for like when you really gotta bust them out.
This one kind of harkens to my past. It checks off a lot of boxes, and we are going to talk about the Chelsea Hotel, but we're going to get into the Chelsea Hotel as a whole. We were actually talking about doing a anthology of it, a little like tiny little anthology, because there's a lot. And if you're a fan of music, arts, pop culture, movies, the Chelsea Hotel,
It's like the place.
yeah, like it's you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that did not stay there or work there that you're not at least familiar with.
Yeah.
But this one is going to probably pretty quickly focus in on Sid and Nancy. If you're familiar with Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen, Sid Vicious, a bass player of the Sex Pistols, Nancy Spungen, famous kind of groupie and girlfriend of Sid Vicious, which is probably one of the most famous I say technically unsolved true crimes.
Spoiler alert.
So we're going to kind of get into it. And, I was just a huge fan. Like, obviously music, talking about music, which I've been getting more into, like the dark side of that. This is one of those where, listen, when I was 14, I mean, this is the 80s. I didn't have access to like band t-shirts. So I had a gray crew neck, like heather gray sweatshirt and a can of spray paint, and I spray painted Sex Pistols on it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Did I get beat up? Hell yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, so it was great.
For a moment you were like the coolest.
Yeah, I was
And
like,
you're
this is gonna. I was like, this is gonna turn out well.
Yeah,
and
this is great.
It did not.
No.
People were not super receptive to it, including
you're
my family. My
New
family was
Jersey.
like, "That's what you get."
Yeah,
that's what
you
you
don't get that undershirt back.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, you have to wear that to bed.
Yeah, that's. But I wore it like off the shoulder a little bit.
Oh, flirty.
Yes, people were really like, "Are you trying to get beat up?"
A little bra strap.
So that's what we're gonna get into, and I'm personally very excited about it. I think you will be too.
Yeah.
And actually, Rebecca, we of course had the ideas like hotel. Can we stay there and do an episode?
Can we fucking stay there?
But you got stonewalled a little bit, and I
did.
think it's because, and I from the research I did, I think it's. We'll get into it, but we did not get through. But maybe by the time we're in New York together, it'll be open.
we'll
We might have that
I
time.
think that could be fun. I mean, I went on, and there was immediately someplace where you can book it, but it was unavailable. So I was like, oh, maybe. And I called them a couple times and they hung up on me or something of that nature. Anyway, I was disconnected, which I don't appreciate.
No.
But then I saw something as I was scrolling through that the construction was delayed. So,
Yeah, so-
I would love to stay there. That would be amazing if we could do something from the Chelsea Hotel.
And that might happen, maybe we might do our second live show in New York.
What?
But we have a first live
First live show?
Yeah. And have we talked about it enough? Listen, we're under a bit of pressure for you to show up, or at least
Could you get there?
so because it's not, we are working with some other, industry kind of corporate.
always say this and it always sounds so like ominous.
I know it is, but I just don't want to say.
No, but
who-
we have high hopes for this show, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's say that, right?
Yeah.
High hopes. We are doing a live show. We're doing a tour with it. Like, we really want to bring this experience that you listen to every week, presumably, plus Patreon, to life
Yeah.
for you. For you. We do it for you.
And if you can't make it, and you can,
Yeah.
the episode will obviously be, you're going to post it.
Yeah.
But you won't,
not the
it's
same,
3D. You need the
baby.
3D.
It's not the same.
Podcast were always
It ain't the
meant
same.
to be in person. They were
Yeah.
never meant to just be listened to.
A dialogue between two people that you shut up during and listen to.
Yeah. Podcasts were not meant to just be listened to. That's not the way
You're
people
supposed
like
to
it.
see our sweatshirts.
Yeah. Jeans.
All of the jeans.
Yeah, so many
See the
jeans.
coasters. You don't even understand the coasters.
Don't you want to see the empty seats?
Hollywood?
Yeah. You'll see how LA is so indifferent to live
arts.
entertainment. Yeah, arts and then people wonder, like, why aren't certain things flourishing?
Yeah. Well, we got your answer right here, baby.
Yes.
So please go to Dynasty Typewriter /calendar /Ghost Town APR25. Our links will be all over. We got
Yeah.
links aplenty. You
We
will
got-
find your way. If you want to see this show, God help you. You will find your way.
Yeah. Ghost Town
like the
Pod
North
on
Star.
Instagram. Yeah.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
Please.
And I don't know if you'll find the link on patreon.com/ghosttownpod where we have like 10 bonus episodes ready to go for you to listen
Yeah.
to for $2 a month. Just saying. I don't know if you'll find it there, but maybe you will.
Maybe you take a look and you see what you find.
Are we all
I want to
unplugged?
talk about one
Yeah.
quick thing too, which there's a documentary there's a documentary about Satanism coming out.
Hail Satan?
Hail Satan.
I got an invite to a screening. I think you're gonna be. I think you're gonna be.
How did you not tell me? How did you not?
Because
leave with
I
this when
get
you came
invited to a
the
lot of screenings.
apartment? Oh, okay.
Also, it's like at 11 a.m.
don't care.
Yeah. I just saw the trailer for it.
So did I with my coworker because we don't work. We just watch trailers pretty much.
I'm gonna look up the information and you tell me if you're gonna be around.
Okay.
And then you start talking about Hail Satan.
Okay. I will.
Yeah.
So basically, Hail Satan is a documentary about Satanism, but it's really about the social justice angle of Satanism, which my coworker and I watched the trailer and then we both signed up to be Satanists, and he was already registered. I was not.
Oh.
He's pretty cool. But so I registered, and they had the tenets of Satanism are like really progressive. I got a really lovely welcome email, and I'm really excited to see what's next. I was trying to they have like a little like membership card for an extra $20, and I tried to get that, but they were out. But hopefully next time I can show you my Satanist
Though,
membership card.
I
My
actually
parents
like
would
that
love
they're
it.
out. I want to hope that they're out of cards because they've got so many members that they can't keep up.
I do. There are lots of branches. In fact, there's not even one in LA. There's one in Santa Cruz. I think that's the closest one.
Well, that's kind of, I think the movie The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
That was filmed in Santa Cruz, so I get it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It kind of
Okay.
Santa Cruz is like it's supposed to be like a weird place, not in
Yeah.
a bad way, but like a weird. That's what I've heard. I'll look into more about that, but I remember hearing some stories about that. I'm not going to say where it is because it's just it's Tuesday, March 12th at 11 a.m.
Oh shit! I could probably do that. I bet I could go. How many? I bet if I told my coworker, he'd be like, "Go."
Yeah, it's so I did get.
Oh shoot! Though I'm going to be in New York.
That's why. That's the first thing I said to you was that I think you're in New York. Then that's why I didn't tell you about it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go?
I don't know because here's the thing: it's at 11 a.m. That doesn't really bother me, but I know it's going to come on probably video on demand or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'm watching Interview with the Vampire for a 5th date tomorrow. How about that?
Whose idea was that?
It was a collective choice between two.
He was like
parties.
La La Land. You're like Interview with a Vampire. He's like good.
He's like, see ya.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Is that a little too sexy?
Sexy? It is very homoerotic, and I can't wait to watch it with a straight guy,
Yeah.
a straight sober guy.
Yeah. It should be. It should be pretty
so
hot.
Sexy.
It should be very hot.
So that's all my business.
You know what I'd say?
What?
Get a room at the Chelsea Hotel.
Oh damn!
Oh, do you see how I did that?
I liked it.
I think I'm getting better.
You're very good at this. I could just talk forever about my dating life, and you're like, bring it back around.
And you're like on date 39. So
Yeah,
here's what
exactly.
happened.
So
Here's
let me
what
tell you how he texted me, and I texted this. That would be my podcast if I had my way.
a podcast about dating woes?
I know. Oh my
No,
God.
it
Oh my
they
God,
don't exist. No one would ever
revolutionary.
do
That would
it,
be a
and no one ever listen.
groundbreaker.
But I want to go and I want to talk about. I mean, you lived in New York for a time, and you're there. I grew up. I mean, I've been going to New York City, like I mentioned this, like since the mid '70s.
Damn.
Until I worked. I never lived in New York City, but I worked in New York City, and New Jersey, and I've always lived about an hour outside. I've slept in Penn Station.
Gross.
Because I couldn't miss the train. It is gross and it's
Yeah.
very dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And now this is
Unless
obviously,
you want to be sexy.
yeah, and cigarettes. No, it's. I mean, I remember at Grand Central where you could kind of just like sleep on the floor.
my
They
God.
quickly, like in the early 2000s, were like,
God.
"No, you don't do that here." You know,
It's like
obviously,
sleeping on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
Like oh
Penn
my
Station
God.
though is. I mean, sleeping in Penn Station is rough. But I remember, like maybe kind of stepping inside the. Because I wasn't that much of a bad boy. Like I wasn't that much of
except
an
for that
urban
shirt.
explorer then. But I would, be outside the Chelsea Hotel and my like love of like music and all the history there, and just old buildings. So I've been inside like really quick, and this is a while ago. This is probably 90s, I would say. 80, yeah, late 80s, 90s,
Wow.
when things were really nasty.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
you're
right.
gonna.
Wait, are we talking like yeah?
I mean, this is pre Giuliani,
Interesting.
and probably post Giuliani, but like I remember peep shows in Times Square and stuff like that, and just being in them, being in the peep shows,
Yeah.
being on screen,
Yeah.
as an actor,
Wow. Oh my God. Look at you now.
and being in the audience.
Oh my God. Wow.
Like
that's
I
so
did like
meta.
full. It's like a full circle.
That's incredible.
Full circle, but
the things you've seen and not seen.
and not mostly not
Witnessed
seen,
and not witnessed.
And mostly not witnessed.
Yeah.
But to give you, for some people who are not familiar, I say Chelsea Hotel. Basically, I call it Chelsea Hotel because you can call it both things. But
Mm-hmm.
do you know familiar with Leonard Cohen? Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. His song Chelsea Hotel #2.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
very, very famous song. Michelle loves Leonard Cohen. And my dad actually, when I was younger, he was one of those people that my dad got me into most music. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Everything, the Beatles and Springsteen was kind of late for me to get into. But Leonard Cohen was one of those things that took me a little while to get
Yeah.
into.
It's an acquired taste.
It
It's
is,
like Tom
yeah.
Waits, where you're
It's
like,
like
what
it
is
is,
this?
yeah.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, then you're hooked.
And then I'm into it, but because he's pretty which that song is about his affair with Janis Joplin.
What?
What?
We know her.
Yeah, we have a 3-part episode with Janis
Oh,
Joplin.
Just a little sweet, tight three-parter.
Yeah, how do we fit that in there?
Oh.
I think as we do more episodes, we're going to find that we're going to cross like
A lot of
obviously,
history is
we're
going
going
to
to
cross, especially because the places we concentrate in are a lot of cities where a lot of people die.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah.
A lot of Satanists do those things.
Yeah,
there,
you know what I'm
and
thinking? Before we get like into the nasty stuff, let's take
Okay.
a little break.
Pre-nasty break.
Whoop, we're back. So let me get a little tiny bit about the Chelsea Hotel. Again, we're not going to go very deep into. It's such a long, amazing history, especially with all the ins and outs of it. But it was built in 1884. It is at 222 West 23rd Street, between 7th and 8th Avenue. And it's, I always, first thing I look is like, when did it become a landmark? And it was designated, it's been a landmark since 1966 and on the National Register of Historic Places since 1977, when I was a mere 25 years old.
Damn, you are so old.
I'm so old, I know. It's known for having famous people and dead people. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of
it
like,
really is.
You can't put that on the sign, but that's
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Exactly. I feel like someone has made some B movie, C movie about the Chelsea Hotel.
Oh, there's tons. No, there's
it's
tons
like
of
murder.
mov-
It's
yeah.
like just like where the filter where it's like blood fills. Like it is. It has such a just violent.
People say like, "Oh, these walls could talk
Yeah, these walls would scream
yeah.
to help us, please.
and try to hook up."
Come in, sanitize us.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if any of these. Here's some people that stayed there. This might not impress you.
Try me.
Boring old Mark Twain. No,
that?
yeah, nobody. He does not have an Instagram presence.
I do not care if you will not
Yes.
come to our live show.
Allen Ginsberg. You like some poetry?
I do.
This she didn't like. She was poised to be great, but didn't really work out for her. Madonna.
Oh, who's that?
Don't know.
I'm
Some
too
dude.
young.
I don't know who that
I'm
is.
too young.
Some survivors of the Titanic.
Whoa.
They survived the Titanic and
then
they
they
narrowly escaped the Chelsea Hotel.
Jesus.
Arthur C. Clarke, I think, wrote
yeah.
2001 Space Odyssey.
That's right.
There. Mitch Hedberg,
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Absolutely.
Ethan Hawke. He's back,
Oh,
baby. Ethan Hawke is
brooding.
back. Yeah.
Ooh,
He's so good.
Sinewy.
He's so good. Dennis Hopper, of course. He's,
Yeah, absolutely.
he's like, yeah. I'm surprised he wasn't one of the walls.
Surprised you didn't own it. I know. He's buried there.
Uma Thurman.
yeah, we're
what I
getting
mean?
very like 90s
Yeah.
fun.
Jim Morrison? Why would he go there?
Exactly.
He's like, no, I'll go to Holiday Inn Express. No, thank you.
La Quinta.
And the Grateful Dead. I mean, that's just some of.
That's just some. That's
Some.
just like the hits.
We're not even gonna get. We're not even
not
getting
even
to the
the
meat of this.
B-side,
I'm just.
but-
What I'm doing is I'm giving you little tiny little
Just
appetizers,
little
tiny little yum yums. Should I ever say the word yum yums again? Yes or no? Let me know
you should.
in the comments that don't
Yes,
exist
you
below. So Leonard, I want to just kind of get into before we get to Sid and Nancy, which is really the kind of like the bulk of this focus. But Leonard Cohen, he lived in room 424. Can we get in? And Janis Joplin was in 411. They had an affair.
Though they were very close.
They're very-
so,
yeah, and,
across the hall. pretty much. Probably between a vending
yeah.
machine.
Maybe
Cigarette machine?
a ciggy machine. But in the Leonard Cohen song, you're familiar with Chelsea Hotel number 2. It's pretty graphic, but in a.
But in a.
Oh, he's like, we were holding hands and like French kissing a little bit, like that part of the song. Ooh, that's the part. I think my family edited out all the other parts. They added other parts.
Horton family edit to the classics.
Another person who stayed there, and I watched a documentary on him, is Joe Bryant.
Who's
Is that he was kind of somebody that kind of came up almost as like a David Bowie type during that.
Okay.
He had a really interesting trajectory and probably could have been really big and actually was like super talented. Just things just did not work out. The documentary is great if you're into like
Okay.
70s, and then you go into disco and then early 80s. And I remember this because he lived on there's a pyramid top of the Hotel Chelsea. And he lived there, and he actually and then he died from AIDS in 1983. But that's where he lived right before he died. And I think from the documentary you see him playing the piano because he went through this kind of like glam phase, and then he kind of pulled it in and became like kind of like a tuxedo, just piano player. It was just a very interesting, sad, and I'll watch any music documentary. I don't have to like the music.
Yeah.
I
agree.
can know everything
I
about it
agree.
or nothing about
And
it. and I-
honestly, sports documentaries, a lot of the
Sometimes,
same
yeah,
way
they're
for
great
me,
too
I'm like,
because there's a lot of ups and downs.
well, it's just
and-
like culture.
Yeah.
And I like it. A good story is a good story.
So I was just kind of really into that. But the story about Sid and Nancy is a very kind of classic. People kind of compare.
It's like
Kurt
Quinn-
Cobain
yeah.
and Courtney. I mean, Courtney Love. Definitely her vibe is a page out of Nancy Spungen.
Literally, they could be twins. Like
Yeah.
they are have such a similar aesthetic,
Yeah.
different generations, but like, yeah, I think it's very eerie that, and I feel like a lot of people make comparisons all the time to that. But yeah, when you think about tragic rock and roll romances,
This is this is it.
huge.
And Nancy is interesting. I was watching some interviews with her, and she's just a very seeming like a kind of intelligent, but kind of very abrasive, and a junkie groupie who
Yeah.
was very. I mean, a strong woman.
Didn't Courtney Love play her?
Not. Are you thinking of the Sid and Nancy movie?
Yeah.
No, but you know who played her? Her name escapes me, but she was also in Shameless. She played. I don't know if you've ever seen Shameless.
yeah.
She plays the mother that's in and out of their lives. That's the junkie. If you hear her voice,
Yeah.
it's like, you know what I
It's
mean.
it's like New York. It's like she's very
It's kind of like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But you would think Courtney Love
Yeah.
would, but that was. I remember getting that soundtrack, and I had
Yeah.
Sid Vicious post. It was just a very iconic thing, even though Sid Vicious.
First of all, Sid Vicious was like not talented. I mean, he was like part of the punk. He was very
Yeah,
charismatic.
he couldn't play bass.
Yeah. Also, everyone was so young too, which
yeah.
like you don't think about. I learned a lot about this. Well, just growing up a little bit and hating everybody, but also this is the least punk thing I've ever done is TA'd a class on the history of punk in
Okay.
grad school.
Interesting.
Which is very
Yeah.
punk. But we learned a lot about that and like had people talk about this experience too and like the scene in New York, which was so insane and
Yeah.
full of possibility. And also it's not like it's like you think about like the artist scene there, and this is like a little post that. This is like, again, a little grittier, little kind of like downfall in New York. New York is gross.
I mean,
like-
anything in we're talking about New York, and you're talking about like after between 1975
Mm-hmm.
on, because then in 77 you have Blackout and
Mm-hmm.
Son of Sam and economic depression.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a tough, rough time. Tons of drugs.
yeah.
So it's really like really great backdrop for these stories.
Yeah.
Not for the people that didn't make it, but then I guess that's what kind of solidifies them in kind of like as icons and
Yeah.
in what we're talking about.
Totally.
But she, Nancy showed up, as the punk movement was blowing up and heroin was getting big in New York City. And she was super like honest. She's just honest about it. She's like, yeah. She's like, I'm a junkie, prostitute. What up?
Yeah.
Which is, some people say like, I'm a muse. And maybe you are that, but she was like, no, this is what I am.
Yeah, which is also very punk too, to just be like, this is it. Like, this is who we are. We're unapologetic about it.
Yeah. She would bring the band's drugs. She said to be a groupie, you had to be tall and skinny and have fashionable clothes. Like that was like the general consensus. And then she shows up and she's not trying to be any of those things. She wasn't like, I'm an aspiring model.
Yeah.
She was just like, yeah, I'm a prostitute and I don't care. But she met Sid Vicious in London in 1977 when the Sex Pistols were, a very short time span. But that was right in the center of it. And then they, kind of hung out in the UK, and then they made it to the United States. And then after Sex Pistols broke up, it was just the two of them on their own. But they were, they were inseparable. It was just like sex and drugs.
Yeah, and he was also like 19. Like how?
Yeah, he was pretty young. Yeah.
I mean, I believe he was just like, I don't know if he was still
young.
a teenager or like what.
Well, also his mother was addicted to heroin too.
Yeah.
So
really sad.
yeah. The other people, like obviously in the band, didn't like her. As most things. They banned her from their 1978 tour, which went terribly, but famously terribly.
Yeah.
But on August 24th, 1978, Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen moved into the Chelsea Hotel. So you lived there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm sure there was people, there for the day, but you lived there.
I want to know how much it was like per. I guess I'm sure they had like weekly rate. Like people were so in and out.
Yeah. I'm sure it was probably, they probably used their Citibank mileage points
Yeah,
and stuff like
probably.
that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it was
for
like
sure.
Airbnb and
Well,
stuff.
you gotta get those points. You gotta use those points.
gotta use those- listen,
you
it-
chase Sapphire. You get double points.
It's
you get
not
some mileage.
punk to not use your points,
Yeah,
I
no
guess. Is what,
shit.
so, but on the night of August 11th, we
Mm-hmm.
fast forward very short amount of time, several visitors to the room saw Sid Vicious take as many as 30 tablets of Tuinol, which is, barbiturate. And it's just like a beyond large amount.
Yeah.
And it would put anyone like unconscious. And then he
God.
he remained he was like kind of like comatose the morning, but on October 12th, 1978, Nancy bled to death on the bathroom floor.
Yeah.
what happened in between that time.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a little, a true crime
This is.
element to this.
And I just looked it up. Sid Vicious was only 21 years old when he died.
Yeah.
Like, so sad.
Yeah.
And I think Nancy's a little bit older, but
Yeah.
like, I'm sure, like, what, there's so, like, what, I wonder those waning hours after Sid Vicious overdosed, and she probably was just like, I'm gonna take all these drugs and like, God knows what.
It's really hard to say what happened in between, and there's really no way to know. And also, we're going to find that people just didn't care. Like, the police authorities, they're not like in the business of like, listen, we want justice. They're like, another junkie.
Yeah.
Like, what do we care? What has happened to this person? How much manpower we're going to put into it? So here's how the night went. At 2:30 a.m., Nancy asked Rockets Red Glare. Great name.
Great name. I
Great
mean,
name.
punk names are also like
So cool.
fucking great.
It's like so disco. You know what I mean? It's like
I know it's like Susie Sue, like all the.
so great.
There's so many amazing names.
So great names. Was sometimes a bodyguard for Sid Vicious, also a drug dealer. So he was multi. You know what I mean? He had like a
He was
side hustle.
slashes,
Yeah,
like,
he had a multi hyphenate. He was a multi hyphenate.
triple threat.
He to get some. He went to get Sid some Diaudids, Dilaudids, Dilaudids.
Dilutids?
I don't know.
Dilutids.
Dilaudids?
We're punk
Okay,
right now.
yes.
This is the most punk thing we've ever talked about.
Actually, we're a bunch of narcs, so we're trying to find out who knows
not
what
a
is.
cop. Are you a cop? I'm not a cop.
Yep. Which is a painkiller. And around 7:30 a.m., female moans were heard from the room from other guests in the hotel. Probably all messed up. You know what I mean? And at 10 a.m., Sid Vicious called down to the front desk asking for help. Nancy Spungen, who had been stabbed in the stomach
Oh boy.
with a knife, bled to death
Yeah.
on the bathroom floor. She was 20.
Yeah.
Sid Vicious, who was found wandering the hallways like in a freaked out state, was arrested and charged with the murder. He initially confessed to the crime, and then he recanted it, claimed that he was asleep when he died, which is tough because maybe you feel so guilty that you want to be like, I must have done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the one supposed to like. So the closest to you. I did this. It's really hard to say because there's just a lot of things, like a lot of things saying like, there's no way he could have done it based on the state that he was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think I thought she was 27 because everyone dies when they're 27.
27.
In
No,
rock and
not
roll,
even
but I
that,
was wrong. God, young.
Not even that far.
Not even of drinking age. Do you think she'd ever had a sip of alcohol?
She never had a sip of water. I know that. She never ever had a sip of water. That was her claim to fame.
Oh wow.
Actually took that from Saturday Night Live from a
really?
sketch. It was really funny. I've never had a sip of water. But I thought it was really funny. I think it was 80 Bryant. Just in case she's listening and just
Yeah.
like, give me credit
80.
for my comedy. And then people are kind of, I mean, listen, it could be, how many things could it be? Everything, right? What were the possibilities? That maybe it was a robbery or a drug deal?
No, a robbery.
No.
Yeah, maybe Sid robbing Nancy.
Yeah, or a drug deal gone bad.
Between Sid and Nancy.
Yeah. It could have. What about the drug deal's gone good, where everyone just has a really good time
That's
and
like
I
a
save time?
lovely time. I don't know.
Now it's possible that people are saying that based on her personality, that she might have like stabbed herself for drama.
There was a big round of thunder
Yeah.
while you said that, and that was very dramatic.
Yeah, that maybe she stabbed herself.
Maybe. I see that.
I mean,
There's
just
so
to
many
be,
things I want to do on drugs that I
yeah.
don't.
Well, did you have 75 Quaaludes?
No, I didn't have enough to kill a giant like horse.
Yeah,
like a Clydesdale.
and she maybe kind of like mistakenly like stabbed herself. To be like, you love me, Sid. That's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
something
it
like
could have
that.
been like a
and then he was
thing.
too like
He was
out
like,
cold, and it just went. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was
Well, also think about the
a
things
bluff
you-
went bad.
Yeah, you've done when you were 20, 21, but then add a bucket of drugs.
and just probably. And I think it's not even the drugs of one day. It's just like
No,
doing
it's
drugs every single
accumulated
day.
in your bloodstream.
Yeah.
You're in a hotel. You don't know what is up and what is down,
yeah.
and all you need is a hug.
You should have been there, Lieb. Hey, guy. Hey, listen, everybody.
Hey,
Everybody needs a hug.
hey, open up!
Yeah. They're like, don't let her in.
Open up!
Don't let her in.
She can't come in here.
She's-
you know what? Okay,
she's selling loose cigarettes.
Be honest.
there's a 2009 documentary called Who Killed Nancy, and that suggests that Vicious couldn't have murdered her because he was too out cold from the
Yeah.
barbiturates.
I mean, that makes sense. I can
And
see
he's
her-
kind of, listen, I'm not saying he can or can't do anything. And it wasn't like he was a kind of like pretty frail kind
yeah,
of
he was tiny.
heroin chic, I guess we
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah, like fit
Well, I just call it
really
chic.
well.
I just call it chic.
Yeah,
'Cause the heroin
fits
part's understood.
really well into jeans. You know,
Oh, skinny jeans?
Ooh,
Oh,
the skinniest, like
no thigh gap.
oh
Or
my
all
God,
thigh gap,
what a
right?
dream.
It's all thigh gap, yeah. And there's actually in the Daily Beast that Vicious wouldn't have killed his girlfriend unless her death was actually a botched double suicide.
See, I can see even that more
Yeah.
than really him
Yeah.
killing her. Is like they were both like, let's do it, and he passed out, and she stabbed herself.
Yeah. Malcolm McLaren, who kind of
Yeah, who engineered the Sex Pistols?
yeah.
And their aesthetic,
Yeah, and probably a lot of other.
and was partnered with Vivienne Westwood.
Yep, yep.
Fashion
Michelle
icon.
loves Vivienne Westwood.
I do too. I mean, she's great. Although, how punk is it when like the Met Gala is themed as? Remember when it was like punk themed?
Maybe a little bit.
It's just
Yeah,
like, oh my god, like punk's dead.
yeah. I wanted to go to like where they had that sex shop. The
Yeah.
sex. It's something else. There's something else now. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was in, I went to go see, but it's not that anymore.
Yeah.
It's something else. So Sid Vicious, actually ended up, so he, got arrested and.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was going to go to trial and all that. And then I think his mother gave him some heroin just to be like, let's party before we deal with all this.
Everyone
and,
likes to party with their mom on
and
heroin.
overdosed, yeah. And so you won't, I mean, there's just no way to, it could be any, and if doesn't matter which one of those things, I guess, is it,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really matter, but the sitting at, kind of like it's definitely like the most volatile of that kind of like, rock and roll kind of casualty thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's very indicative.
I think it's
of,
they're
like,
in room 100. I think I might
it's
mention
a
that.
nice prime, not
Yeah.
a prime number.
Is that a prime
no,
number?
It's divisible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you think about that, when you think about like punk gone really bad,
Yeah.
you think about a lot of neo-Nazi shit, and then you
Yeah.
think about Sid and Nancy, and you think
Yeah.
about their death and how young everyone is.
Yeah.
like Johnny Rock, like how young everyone was in this movement, which is part of its allure because it's about like unbridled anger, like raw, like being raw and being like vulgar.
It's that you are at your most, you're at your kind of worst.
Yeah.
But you're at your best
Yeah.
because you're at your
You're
most,
lower class and you grew up poor and you're angry and
Yeah.
you're gonna like take it out on some shit.
Yeah.
Like a lot of let's just call them
Dilaudid?
Dilaudid.
We need to, we need that here.
call
We need a cool person, a drug
We
specialist
need a cool person somewhere.
somewhere
around
to be
here.
like, you're doing it wrong.
Oh my god, they're like, do not
Yeah.
say anything else.
But that is only one of many stories. I
So
want to get
many.
into this Edie Sedgwick.
Oh yeah, Edie Sedgwick is one of my favorite, like Andy Warhol, Muse,
That's-
who like fell out of favor. Also like royalty, like she was like related to the Kennedy. Like she had so much money. That is also such an interesting story.
It is, and when I was like, oh. So when we were talking about doing like an anthology or like a mini
Yeah.
anthology, the Edie Sedgwick. Sedgwick, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Edie Sedgwick story I thought was like pretty cool.
Yeah, she's related to Kira Sedgwick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought they're like cousins or
Something like that.
yeah.
Which, I was like, huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, Andy
love that.
Warhol, like when I, because admittedly, like, I went to museums as a kid, but art kind of escaped me because it was just not, I don't know. It wasn't like a luxury that kind of hit. It just, I grew up
Yeah.
very middle class, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
art's
Nobody's
also like not super accessible.
it's
to
not super
people.
accessible, especially when you live very close to New York City. You can't find art.
Yeah,
it's very
weird.
hard. But
Get to Akron though.
yeah.
Oh my God, Columbus.
Over the years,
Go to
I've-
Ohio.
actually living in LA made me like, oh, now I got to go. Because, I went to the Tate Modern and I go
Yeah,
to
sure.
museums. But I remember in New York, Andy Warhol and Keith Haring.
Yeah.
Keith Haring.
Keith Haring was definitely of that time.
Yeah. So
Andy
both
Warhol
of those.
passed. Yeah.
And that whole kind of world is super interesting. So, I mean, we have to get to the Chelsea Hotel.
We're gonna get so much more into this hotel.
Yeah.
This is the first snacky snack you've seen of this hotel.
Yeah. This is probably the most No,
I'm
there's
sorry I
other
said that.
there's some pretty other dark stuff in
No.
here. But this one's pretty.
That one's just a good entryway into God.
Also, check out go
knows
online,
what.
look at the pictures of some of the rooms and kind of
Yeah.
its heyday and kind of like the people that are like living there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like as we found out, they were doing some remodeling, and it's obviously a
Exactly.
landmark. So I don't know how much they're allowed to change
I don't know either.
structurally, like how
If
much.
someone
what
would
percent-
pick up the phone, I
Yeah.
could find out.
So we'll keep you posted, but we want to try to get there. We could be our own like Sid and Nancy, but it's just kind of like
Yeah, but
oh,
with,
should we
like,
order mozzarella sticks too?
Stuffed
Or is that
crust?
too? Yeah, like is that
too much stuffed crust?
crust? It's too dangerous.
No, you
No.
can't do it.
And
You
we
can't
just-
do it. Someone help me.
And it's like,
Jason's
oh-
OD'd on stuffed crust.
They're like, no, they're both dead. It's like, no, they just passed out because they ate too much stuffed crust and didn't do
Dipping
anything.
sauces.
And they didn't do anything they say they were going to do.
They're being frankly very disrespectful.
Yeah, and they only got 10 minutes into Interview with a Vampire.